What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me all this time. This community is growing. I'm very excited to be a part of this whole situation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sending me a tip 5 Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. That is always super, super helpful. That is maybe the most helpful thing you can do in order to support this whole enterprise. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So, this week, the first week of April, it is the moment we have all been waiting for. And by all of us, I mean mostly astrologers. So Venus has been in trash condition for like 6 months. So way back in Scorpio time, we saw Venus move into Capricorn. And when Venus moved into Capricorn, then that began a series of retrogrades and like being conjunct Pluto for mad long and then being conjunct Mars for mad long. And so it's been Venus, Mars, and Venus, Pluto through all of Capricorn, through all of Aquarius. Venus has been besieged by malefics, Saturn on the one side, Mars on the other side. All three of those squared Uranus also. It's been a lot of difficulty for Venus. Venus is the planet that's associated with things tasting good and feelings generally emotions and stuff that's close to the heart. But Venus tends to be associated with feelings of like love and cooperation and harmony and this kind of stuff. Have been having a real difficult time with that recently. I know myself, I've had a lot of trouble enjoying enjoyable things or finding pleasure in the places where I am accustomed to finding it. And so Venus is associated with music, for example, and I do music. That's like my main craft. I know it looks like astrology is my main craft, but I actually do music pretty seriously. And I have had a great difficulty just picking the instrument up, just putting it in my hands and like I normally get a lot of pleasure from that. But in this period, it's really been a slog. It's been difficult for me. What we're going to see this week is Venus is moving into Pisces. This is an excellent shift for Venus. So Venus is said to be exalted in Pisces. This is a situation we can think about exaltation as being like put up on a pedestal or something like that, being put up so as to be able to reach whatever you want. Another good way to think about exaltation is like being in your friend's house and being in your best friend's house, where you've got all of the great things about being at home. You can chill, you can be easy, you don't have to dress up, you can just go right in the fridge, ain't no thing. You can like handle, you can be comfortable in that space while at the same time not paying rent and not filling the fridge up and that kind of thing. Zero responsibilities in this space, but all of the pleasure of being at home. That's the way that Venus feels in Pisces all the time. Now, this time we get to have Jupiter there in Pisces as well. Jupiter is the one who's paying the rent and whatever. Jupiter also loves being at home in Pisces. And so these two get to kick it and do beneficent things. They get to bring us the fun stuff. They get to bring us joy, luck, pleasure, abundance. Think about the 9 of Cups. The fat dude sitting there with like cups all around and just being like, I live here. That's the way that we're looking at Venus moving into Pisces. I'm very excited about this. I've been waiting for this for a long time. As soon as I found out that this was even a thing like 4 years ago, I was like, this is going to happen, and I've been waiting on this whole time. Now, what I didn't realize is that this is going to take place at the very same time that our most difficult stuff takes place this year as well. So buckle up. What we've got going on here as well is Mars, who now no longer has Venus in between him and Saturn to sort of like ease things out. We can think about Mars and Saturn. Those are our malefics, right? Those are our evildoers or whatever. Again, we never want to think about malefics as bringing evil necessarily, because good and evil are weird concepts and are between you and your deity of choice. More importantly, whenever we think about malefics, then we can think about planets that tend to describe difficulty, challenge, and things that are uncomfortable, things that you don't like as much as you like delicious food and soft fabric, right? So Mars and Saturn who tend to bring difficulty. When we put them together like this, I like to think of them as being like cops and robbers a little bit, right? Saturn is the cops and Mars is the robbers. There's like, they fight, they're known for scrapping all the time. They don't like each other, and also nobody else likes them. This is that kind of dynamic, right? They are in the same space, and now they have to fight it out. The two of them are going to conjoin on the same day that Venus moves into Pisces. So Venus moves into out of all of that difficulty, get to leave that in the past and move into this kind of like orgasmic bliss that is with Jupiter, and Neptune is there also. Jupiter is super closely conjunct Neptune at this point. We're talking about within a degree. They are both sitting at 23 degrees right now, and they're both outer planets, so it's going to take a little while. They're just going to both be hanging out there together for a long period of time. Neptune we can think about as being like confusing or boundless or these kinds of things. So it's like swimming in an ocean of sherbet. You know what I mean? Like very sweet, very like I can't even imagine the like technicolor sweetness that is taking over my body, right? Like that's the kind of thing that we're looking at with Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces. At the same time that Mars and Saturn are beefing super hard. So we can think about all of the things, and they are square to the nodes as well. So not only square to Uranus in Taurus, which is, this longer term, I've been talking about Saturn, Uranus is like Saturn wants to think about efficiency and management of systems and organizations and things like this. You know, Saturn is really wants things to sort of follow the structured parameters of things, versus Uranus, who wants to upend all that. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus, we're talking about breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, earthquakes, this kind of thing, shake up the whole system, right? So there's beef in between those two, and there's been conflict and tension throughout all of last year, throughout all of this year as well. That is kind of the main story that's going on here. But then also what we've got here is we've got the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. So we've got eclipses along that axis as well. So currently Saturn and Mars are square to that nodal axis. So whenever we think about the North Node in Taurus, that's going to charge up that Uranus, and that's like throughout the year, but especially at eclipse time. So that we're going to start having eclipses again at the end of this month and moving into May. Once we're into Taurus season, then that's what we're going to do. Right now, we've still got the sun in Aries, and so that's not necessarily turned on super big, but Mars and Saturn square to that is likely to sort of bring up those themes and sort of it'll lay a little foundation for the wildness of the eclipses to take place here. So we can think that Mars and Saturn together, they are like, there's so much conflict and struggle. You know, we've seen, with them together, we've seen literal war breaking out in the world and this kind of stuff. That looks like it wants to continue. So it's very interesting that is going to continue at the same time that we also have this like orgiastic Venus, Pisces, Jupiter, Neptune situation as well. Like there's a situation here where we're looking at both and, which I think is really, really interesting. You know, it's the sort of situation where, and like, so it's going to be, which one we feel is going to be dependent on a couple of things. First is the position of the moon. The moon moves it goes through a sign every 2.5 days or so. And so as the moon changes signs and changes sign rulerships, it's also going to change its aspect relationship to both of those situations. We can recall that Aquarius is adjacent to Pisces, and so it's averse. There's a blind spot there. They can't see each other. And so when one of them is prominent, the other is going to not be prominent. And that is going to change based on the position of the moon and the moon's aspect relationship to both of them, as well as on an hour by hour basis as things move around, as our rising signs change. So if we've got Aquarius rising, then that's going to put all of the Mars Saturn stuff right on, like it's going to be front and center, or any of our fixed rising signs. That could be Taurus or Aquarius or Leo or what's the one that I'm missing? Scorpio. Any of those if they are rising, then that's going to like put the Mars Saturn stuff like front and center. But if we've got Pisces rising, then that's got the Venus and Jupiter stuff front and center. So it's going to be, we're going to be looking at experiencing both of these things, maybe even in the same day. So there's something really, really interesting here. I know that everybody in the astro community has been waiting on this week, and actually throughout the month. So Venus is going to be in Pisces for about 3 weeks, and so there's a bunch of really nice elections during this time. Make sure and check out the membership. I put together a whole electional report of times to launch at and times to wait at. I do that every month, but this happens to be one of the months where there's a lot of really like outstanding elections this month. Election, of course, means selection. It means to choose something, so you can choose a time to begin versus choosing a time to wait, because sometimes will bring you better outcomes than other times will. And so I put together a whole report of that. This month is full of really nice times because of that Jupiter, Venus, Pisces situation. Now, at the same time, it is important to remember to wait at those times that it's important to wait. For example, at the beginning of the week this week, it's at the beginning of the week this week, it's actually going to be before Venus moves into Pisces anyway, but we're going to get this moon in Taurus. When we've got the moon in Taurus, that's going to be conjunct Uranus, conjunct the North Node, square to both malefics. That's going to be a difficult time, even though the moon is exalted in Taurus. Like, don't even worry about the moon's exaltation in Taurus for like 3 more years. Don't worry about that. It's not time for exalted moon in Taurus stuff. But as the moon moves into Gemini, Gemini is then square to Pisces. And so then we've got the moon in a beautiful aspect to that. Then after that, we've got the moon in Cancer. Then the moon is in domicile. And so we do have a nice moon in Cancer now. We used to not have that because we had the nodes there, and we had Saturn opposite to that as well. And so that was difficult. Now we've got the moon in Cancer. The moon in Cancer can be under a really lovely trine from Jupiter and Venus in Pisces. And so we're really, so as we see what the moon is doing, then we can sort of get an idea for what the mood of the day is going to be like as well, and what kind of things we're going to be able to bring to the fore. There's a lot of really nice nourishment to be had during this time, while at the same time also having gas and brakes going on on the other side of the thing. It's the same stuff. It's the same day. It's a little bit like a battlefield where a war is taking place, and also birds are chirping in the trees. You know what I mean? Like the same thing, the same space contains all of the beauty in the world as well as all of the distaste in the world. It's a very interesting thing. And, it's one of these things that helps us to remember that difficult things are beautiful as well, and are worth living through, because and may even be the most meaningful experiences that we have. We can live through things, and in doing that, then we can experience something beautiful. And I think that there's some good medicine here. So let's take a look. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Like I said, super helpful. I got a new membership launching, not right now, so don't join the Patreon right now. That I actually need to. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. See you next time.